Bosses in Sonic games, you either love them or, actually, I think most people hate them. In all fairness, they're very often done poorly, especially in the case of Sonic Superstars. It's just one game that is notorious for horrible boss fights that drag on and on, but why are they so bad? Before we get into it, and I hate to interrupt, but would you help me grow my channel by subscribing? Alright, right back to the topic. If you're not in the know, Sonic Superstars boss fights were partially designed around the botched multiplayer aspect. They had to take into account multiple people hitting the boss all at once when designing them, and the choice of multiplayer shaped into these awful fights. Consistently, the bosses have long invincibility windows after each hit and in between hits. You cannot wail on the bosses like you could in the classic games. I believe it's almost a full 2 seconds of invincibility that they get. Let's just whip out the worst boss in the game to illustrate my point. I'm going to speed up the entire fight because it just takes that long. Optimally, from watching others fight this boss with 0 mistakes, the fight takes 2 full minutes. That's a huge portion of playtime in one zone. Nobody enjoyed this. Lots of Sonic games have bosses you can't hit and watch do a little dance in the background, but Superstars is just the latest example I'm picking on today. It isn't the only game guilty of this by a long shot. So, what is the main takeaway here? Spectacle is not worth sacrificing a tightly designed fight for. Boss fights in Sonic should keep the pace up and limit the amount of waiting around we do. Twiddling your thumbs while waiting to hit a boss in any game is awful, but in Sonic, it's doubled. I've even thought, why does Sonic need boss fights at the end of each act anyway? If they're consistently bringing down the experience, why not cut them entirely except maybe a final boss? Alternatively, why not have the boss fights involve intense platforming in a race-style format? The Metal Sonic fight in Sonic CD comes to mind. Lean into what makes Sonic unique and memorable, and have us moving. What do you think of the boss acts potentially being replaced with speedy platforming challenges? Challenges that test your understanding of the stage's gimmicks and maybe throw in a rival you need to beat to the end. Let me know your thoughts about Sonic boss battles. I genuinely love to hear them and get a discussion going.